Embarking on a harrowing journey through history, the tales of 6 Holocaust survivors from the Coachella Valley unfold, a testament to the devastating scope of the Holocaust and the resilience of human spirit. As each survivor recounts their past, a mosaic of memories reveals not only individual survival, but also the collective endeavor to preserve history. Goldie Jacoby speaks from her heart, sharing the terror she faced as a young child under a china cabinet, a hiding place that became both a grave and a sanctuary. Her voice serves as an echo of the 6 million Jews whose lives were extinguished in Nazi-occupied Europe. The hollow spaces beneath floorboards where her family hid are a stark reminder of the lengths to which people went to survive during the genocide from 1933 to 1945. The importance of these survivors' testimonies cannot be overstated. Historians like Gruner emphasize that first-hand accounts offer new perspectives and challenge previously held beliefs about the Holocaust. Just as these accounts have shed light on the extent of private invasions during the Night of Broken Glass, so too do they break the silence on countless untold atrocities. Henry Friedman's memories embody the struggle for preservation of humanity. As a young boy of 14, hiding terrified in an attic, he wrestled with hunger and despair. His story is one of survival against the odds, an echo of the close to 10,000 Jews of Brody who perished under Nazi occupation. Outliving almost an entire community, Friedman's later years are a testament to the duty of bearing witness, of speaking truth against claims that the Holocaust never happened. Ricky Terrace's experiences reveal the arbitrary line between life and death during World War II. Separated from her mother and left alone in the chaos of Antwerp, Terrace's survival hinged on the guise of religion and the kindness of strangers. Her narrative reveals how forced labor played a critical role in Jewish survival, a facet often overshadowed by the focus on concentration camps and extermination. Surviving as a child of the Holocaust, Ruth Lindemann's past speaks volumes of the impact of genocidal laws that were enacted overnight. Her father's loss of employment, the casual brutality of Kristallnacht, and the savage domestic violence against Jewish families are painted into the backdrop of her childhood. What Lindemann endured illustrates the indiscriminate horror that reached even the outskirts of Jewish communities. The imprint of genocide has forever changed survivors' lives. For Rose Pepin, learning about her Jewish heritage and the brutal murder of her biological father were jolting insights into a personal history marked by loss and displacement. Her recollections and the tumultuous years that followed, displacement, living under a new identity, and emigrating to the United States, are a powerful account of the lasting scars left by such atrocities. Gabriele Grassa's life was defined early on by the upheaval her family faced from the rise of Adolf Hitler. From escaping to Shanghai to surviving the war years, her story is one of survival across continents. She stands as a living repository of the trials endured by Jews and the ongoing struggle to make sense of the insensible. Each voice shares not only the reality of the past, but also the vigilance required to remember and educate. The spoken testimonies are a bulwark against the erosion of historical truth. In their stories is a compelling drive to pass on their legacy, to ensure that the world never forgets the human capacity for both cruelty and courage. Without these narratives, the full magnitude of the Holocaust's impact risks being minimized. Survivors' stories underline the crucial role memory plays not just in honoring the past, but in shaping a future that respites the hatred and bigotry that sowed unparalleled destruction. And as the Coachella Valley listens to the voices of those who lived through the inconceivable, history may be handed down, strong and unaltered, to a world that must never forget. Among the darkest of places can emerge the strongest of lights. Goldie Jacoby's story is a harrowing narrative set amid the shadows of a Polish ghetto, born of a time when life hung by the fragile thread of chance and concealed spaces became sanctuaries of survival. Underneath a china cabinet in Jacoby's family home, a hiding spot barely larger than a grave held the breaths of life awaiting rescue or ruin. The mere decision to carve out a refuge beneath floorboards beneath an unassuming piece of furniture was both a stroke of desperate ingenuity and a somber premonition of the risks awaiting the Jewish community. Retelling the moments when her family removed floorboards and hollowed out the earth below, Jacoby conjures the stifling fear that pervaded as they huddled in darkness. A secret plan intended to be their salvation, known only to a few, became a last resort for many, as other desperate souls sought refuge in their cramped sanctuary when the time came. In that concealed space, witnessing the world through a lens of loss, Ruth Lindemann and Henry Friedman recall the once unimaginable turned all too real. Their world engulfed by the horrors of the Holocaust, the shattered remains of Kristallnacht under young Lindemann's feet, the suffocating confines of an attic for a young Friedman, both stand as stark reminders of the fragility of life amidst tyranny. Lindemann, a child in Vienna when her universe was upended, remembers the shattered glass that lined the streets like a cruel mirage of fallen stars. The destruction of Kristallnacht was not merely an assault on Jewish businesses, but a prelude to the relentless persecution that would follow. The echoing sound of broken windows marked the beginning of an era where being Jewish meant living under the constant shadow of obliteration. Laws changed overnight, as did the lives of countless families, including her own. The indelible memory of her father being taken away and the pervading atmosphere of fear defined her formative years. Contrastively, Friedman's story begins in an attic, veiled by shadows in a Polish city, where the walls whispered the constant threat of discovery and death. At 14, he was thrust into a battle for survival that no child should ever know. His narrative folds into the fabric of a community dismantled and decimated, Brody, where he was one of a mere 81 Jews to emerge alive from a population that once numbered over 10,000. The laborious months he spent crammed in that dark, airless space was marked by stories traded for crumbs of bread and dreams of escape that kept the ember of hope alive in a seemingly endless night. These personal ordeals reflect not only the grotesque reality each faced, but also the lifelong journey each embarked upon to assimilate these experiences into their subsequent lives. The transformative power of their memories compels Lindemann and Friedman to speak about the unspeakable. Through their testament, they shoulder the burden of memory, not merely as a personal encounter with history, but as a collective responsibility. For them to speak is to prevent history's darkest chapters from being repeated, from being denied, from being forgotten. The tales of Lindemann and Friedman, mingled with grief and resilience, serve as pivotal links in the chain of remembrance. They contribute enduring lessons to a world that, even in its most trying moments, must cherish the value of every human life. These accounts are carried with the determination that their past should inform the future, a legacy enshrined in memory, ensuring that the lives lost and the suffering endured will forever stand as a bulwark against the darkness of hatred and ignorance. Emerging from the recollections of harrowing survival, the accounts of escape and evasion during the Holocaust provide a piercing insight into the relentless drive for life against insurmountable odds. Ricky Terrace and Rose Pepin, through their young eyes, witnessed the cruelty of the world and the necessity of subterfuge and flight in a climate that brooked no mercy for the Jewish people. Terrace's tale of evasion began in the streets of Antwerp, where the Star of David that Jews were forced to wear became not only a marker of faith, but a target for persecution. When the Nazis invaded Belgium, the world she knew collapsed into tyranny and fear. As a little girl, she survived this hostile upheaval by taking on a new identity, concealed by the benevolence of a Catholic couple who claimed her as their grandchild. It was in the cold confines of a hidden room where Taurus lay, often clutching a hot water bottle for warmth, understanding even at a tender age that discovery equated to death. Her father, masked by the authority of his skilled trade, navigated the perilous landscape to provide for her, while she navigated the precarious balance between concealment and survival. Parallel to Terrace's experience, Rose Pepin's ordeal began with an unspeakable personal tragedy, witnessing the aftermath of her father's execution on the streets of Minsk. Her mother, with a 6-month-old Pepin in one arm and a suitcase in the other, journeyed far from the bloodshed to a haven in Siberia. The war's end brought no solace, no return to normalcy, as they found their Polish hometown obliterated and their family lost to genocidal violence. The displaced persons camp in Bamberg became their interim home, a disquieting base where life began anew amidst the shadow of painful memories. These stories of escape and artful dodging reveal the extraordinary lengths to which individuals went to avoid capture, and the fortuitous strokes of luck intertwined with moments of profound bravery. Taurus and Pepin maneuvered through a reality bristling with hazards, holding on to the fragile threads of existence while crafting their pathways to eventual safety. The encounters of these two survivors during the Holocaust underscore the profound impact of each decision made in the desperate pursuit of survival. Behind the guise of new identities or the decision to flee lay the indefatigable human spirit that refused to succumb to despair. Their narratives are substantial chapters in the chronicle of survival during the Holocaust, epitomizing the enduring human capacity to adapt, to withstand, and to overcome the most dire of circumstances. The enduring legacy of loss and survival from the Holocaust is imparted through the powerful narratives of survivors like Gabriele Grass and the unnamed stepfather of Rose Pepin. Their stories, marked by profound grief and an unyielding will to persevere, provide a window into the soul-rending impact of the Holocaust that transcends generations. Gabriele Grass, who found herself a refugee at a young age, carries the memory of her father's brave stand against the tide of Nazi ideology and the subsequent flight that splintered her family across continents. Her father's refusal to glorify Hitler in his Austrian restaurant was the precursor to their life on the run, an act emblematic of defying the oppressive regime despite the dire consequences. Grass's journey to survival, leading her to Shanghai and eventually the United States, echoes with the sorrow of her family members who perished in concentration camps. Her story a reminder of the countless individual lives and dreams demolished.